Okay, welcome. I'm back on the mic, and I have with me Coach John Saintignon. Coach, how you doing?
That's great to be back with you, but all is well, man.
Good, good. Now we're gonna be talking weekly, which is something I'm really looking forward to. And you've had your first game this weekend, but before we go, the weekend just gone. But before we go into that, give a little bit of history and backstory to how you got where you are now.
Well, we first met when I was at Oregon State University back in the United States. So, from there, that's when I became a head coach as soon as I left Oregon State. So it's been a whirlwind tour. I've been to Mexico, and then I came back to the United States, and then I went to the Kingdom of Bahrain, then came back again and went back into Latin America all over again. Uh, but as it turned out, how I got into Japan, there was a gentleman who I had who had come to Japan, who had come to USA, went to the Drew League and was finding players, and he ran into a couple of my former players who said, you should meet me, and that I would help him with contacts and people that he needed in the United States, and he did. He came and met me, and then I think maybe years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, he has an opportunity for me. He asked me if I had any interest in coaching in Japan. The timing was right at that time, and I was hired as a replacement coach and to a place called Saitama, and fantastic. I went there, and we had a great season and turned things around. Was in turmoil when I got there, and then COVID came. At that time, that was the very first beginning of it, and so we had mass chaos. Nobody knew what was going on in the world, and then all of a sudden, our season was canceled, and then people just had a mass exodus trying to leave countries, and I was caught up in that. And then this past year, a new team had been formed and asked if I would come. And again, opportunity was great for me to come to an unknown place. A lot more difficult when it's year one. There is no sense of history, no establishment, so many unknowns. You don't know if you even have a fan base. You don't know if you're going to meet payroll. You don't know a lot of things. And but fortunately, it was a wonderful event, as we're the second sport in the entire prefecture that plays professional, with soccer being one, and ourselves. So opportunity was golden, and it was a little harder to find athletes because, again, when you're a first year franchise, there's no drafts here, so you just had to find players however you could. And many of the players within Japan are totally familiar with Tokyo, as that's the hub, and it's the biggest city and has all the bells and whistles of things. And uh, you know, Yamaguchi's out in the further out in the countryside. It's a No one really knew. So talk about a tough draw. It was tough to find athletes to come here. I think it's getting a little easier now because now teams have played us. They see the passion of the fan base. They see the media coverage. They see things that perhaps they don't have, and it's good for me. It's just another selling point that allows me the opportunity to say, if you want to live in the vertical lifestyle, have so many things to do, but be broke because you're spending so much money on everything, or a quieter lifestyle, more peaceful. I mean, we land in our airport. You're back at home in 10 minutes. you know, you you land in Tokyo, that could be another hour and a half. To get back to your place. So there are some positives that go along with this place. So that's one of the things that the back history and the backstory of me trying to come here. So I'm in year two now.
Right, I got you. The I definitely want to another time revisit COVID and the impact of COVID on sports, but um, the Japanese league or leagues, what's the structure of how they play games?
So the entire country will play generally on the weekends. Uh, there are three leagues. There's B1, B2, and B3, and each one tries to elevate to the next possibility. And it would be just similar to Euro League and Euro, Champions League and the respective league that the teams are in. You have to pay your way to get advanced, not only win loss record, but you also have to pay for an additional license. You've got to have facilities. It's considered a privilege to kind of move into these next markets. And so with that is a whole structure that's involved, from basketball academies to a lot of things that have to be fully structured in the minds of the respective leagues. And so while the goal is to go into that next level and to apply for the license, but then you have to have facilities that correspond with that. You know, our facilities are a little bit outdated. Uh, they're fine nonetheless, because that's like I was telling you before. I've only really coached in places that didn't have it all. You know, you even take back when I was a high school coach, those were the jobs I had, were the ones where we were nothing, no resources, and just hard, hard, um, committed athletes who wanted to do that sport, and gave it their all. And and then the fan base came out because they were passionate, because they didn't have anything. Well, then you fast forward to the time when I was at Oregon State. In the conference, it's the most outdated facility there is, and it's not UCLA, it's not University of Arizona. It doesn't have all those things. We didn't have all that, so you get used to that same thing all over again in that different market. Well, this is one of them here too. I don't have the same things as others. Some basketball staffs, are fully loaded. Some guys will have 7 coaches. I have none. Uh, some have so many other resources there that are available to them, and in due time that may come to us here. But I've been able to make do without it, and it will add to my stress at times, because I feel overwhelmed at times. A, a player has an off day here on a day like today, like a Monday, but there's no such thing as an off day for me, because I don't have an assistant coach to say, who's our next opponent? Did you break down all the video and our own video and all those things? I'm doing that. So it is a management issue. So, it's what I got to do. I just try my best. But there are times when I do break down, because I'm like, oh God, I could use some extra help. But in due time.
Yeah, yeah, understood. Do you have any players who are starting to recognize that, or see that that's the way to be and take on some of that responsibility themselves yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think so superficially. I think they absolutely know like what's going on, and how sometimes I'm stressed because of that. Really, it's for me is like I coach the game of basketball, but it's people. Just like players think plays win games. You can draw a bunch of zeros, offensive players running in a corner, and it looks like a terrible play. Guy makes the shot, it's a wonderful play. And then another coach can just draw all these crazy things, and it looks like it's fantastic. The guy misses the shot. Nothing fantastic about it. Player makes the play. So in that regard, for me to say like here, it's like yes, there's a lot of things. So I'm getting back to the part where I need relationships. That's where I thrive. It's not necessarily the X's and O's. I got to know who you are in order to make you move and in order to change your life. Because basketball's what we do, but it's not who you are. And and again, they got to try to adopt my personality. And that's not really fair, because a lot of teams say, you adopt the personality of your coach. That's not really fair because, I fight. I don't have these things, so I don't know. It's not always that case. So while I hope they become that, uh, they have their own personalities and their own deals. So just hope that I can just put them all together and keep them coexisting as one, and never get too high, never get too low, stay even. We are much better than a year ago, but that doesn't mean there's going to be obstacles constantly in our way.
Yeah, so it's a constant challenge, and we've spoken about that before. The personalities that you need to bring together and make sure that in practice or on game day everyone's in tune. What did you say? The like a point guard is the straw that stirs the milk, and things like that. So with a long
Yeah,
season that you have, that's really important to work on those personalities and those relationships.
it's also my voice and how much it's being heard, how how the tone is. There are some times in the training camp where I had to be absolutely demanding because I don't want excuses there. Because this is a long season, and players always say, "I want to be the best. I want to, I want to win the championship." Until you have to do the things that the best do and what the best really are committed to doing. That's two totally different scenarios. And so they are every one of them is talented. They just they just don't ever get to that point where they're reaching their potential that they can, because they have to fight through this pain threshold. And I think once they learn that pain is like the best thing for them, then they will change. But we live in that type of a scenario where concentration's really rough. They want to. I mean, they're probably on the phone nonstop. At slightest 5 minutes is like an eternity for them if they haven't seen the phone. It's probably need to change channels consistently if they were on a TV with a remote. Microwave dinner, it's got to be fast, you know. So that type of an athlete that they all love, that's a those are rare breeds, man. Those are the animals that live with pain. So try not to share too much about my own story with them because it doesn't really uh, transcend itself. You know, I I did all I could with what I had, and that's why I look at them and go, you have way more than I had. You can do more than I did. Just not trying bit to go there. Why? Makes me angry, because eh, that's part of the drive of a coach and the player coach relationship, which hurt us because we didn't have a translator for. Still don't until maybe tomorrow, and that really hurt relationships because there's so many things I would have done during training camp to help build relationships. I couldn't because I know they didn't understand me, and it's pointless. And even when I tried it on the phone to do a translate there, it's it's pointless. It loses the value that it needs to have at the time. And so it's unfair for them. They lost out on that. So there's a lot of drawing that I'll do. They know basketball, but they have to see it being drawn. They also have to see the systematic routine that I have, get an understanding, so that so that it's not a constant changing for them. Like I will adapt and change things time to time, but the beauty of the is the repetition that comes with everything. And because 52 games, man, it's a long season. But we're not the only ones. Everybody's gonna be doing this. Everybody's got great talent. Everyone's gonna try to win. But we're not anything unique in that regard. So that's the daily struggle here, to try to make a player do that.
Yeah, I hear you. How about the rules for import players? How many import players are each team allowed, and does it change division? The amount of players each
No,
division.
each each division is granted three, so you can have three, and it is ideal. I think from season to season it can change. Uh, I know a couple of years ago it was only two, and so it can change. There's also another kind of exemption if you're within the Asia market. In Asia, that type of Asian player can come in. There's also another, maybe if a foreign student studied college or high school here, I'm not sure which one, but if it's one of those, then that qualifies as an exemption as well. But for the most part, it's three imports, and that helps you, because at any given moment, someone can get hurt. So that's an extra moment. If you're lucky enough, that's a rotating system, and no one gets too totally exhausted. You get maximum effort that way. Hopefully, that's that's the goal of having three. So I have three, but so far only two have played because one got hurt already. Not even first game of the season, So don't know when he'll be back.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, isn't it? Um, the you
It's every day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you had your first game weekend just gone. Tokyo B Trains. Am I right with the name there?
Yeah, yeah. So the B Trains are a long-standing franchise. They have a long history. They're just outside of Tokyo, and well, it's such a big region. They're just outside, but they have a long history and very successful. And it was tough, because they're our opening game. So we were at home, and it's Saturday afternoon, and all this anticipation of playing them comes into our building, and we're really not sure. We only had two scrimmages before our season began. Other teams played 5, 6, and so they had a bit of a routine going on, and we still did not. And so I was nervous, but we ended up pulling out the win, and very happy for one of our Japanese players who was just absolutely on fire. Missed, I think, took seven 3-pointers, missed one. It was a absolutely outstanding day for that young man because it's a hardworking kid who fights. So well deserved in that regard. And we had the energy. The problem in this league is the next day, it's now going to be happening again. And the championship teams can handle the next day because it's mentally tough. Physically, they know what they got to do, and they really attack. And that's the key to try to have our players learn, because now it's next day. Well, there's always going to be one team who was hurt. They lost the game. They're going to have intensity. They're going to come after you harder. And sure enough, that's what happened on Sunday. We had a slow start, lethargic, and there's nothing I can do. I can scream and yell. It's too early in the season, to be demanding like that. This is just how it kind of goes sometimes. You're hoping that they turn the corner. And eventually we did, and we closed the gap. We made a great a great struggle at the end. And hey, we lost the game by 3 on the second night. Had 2 chances to win the game, or not win the game, but at least put it into overtime. Took 2 shots at the last 14 seconds. That's all you can ask for, you know. And but you know, many people reflect back, even like the post game interview, and as to the last shot, what happened, you know, that's, you know, there's so many possessions in this game. It wasn't that shot. It was so many more that were before that, that we turned the ball over consistently. We lost, you know, momentum. We were down 11 or 12 at one point. You know, there's a lot of that wasn't the same as Saturday. Okay, it's learning curve. It's first series. Another one comes up Saturday and Sunday. It just doesn't go away. You know, it'll be here all the time.
What's the
So,
difference with conditioning for the players when you're doing back to backs? How does it go through the week that's different to other leagues that may do a Thursday and a Sunday or however they do it?
yeah, I try to ask various coaches along the way what their system is, because I want to learn how they do their thing too. And I inevitably they always ask me the same, like, what do you do? And so I try to make it like, hey, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be running. It's going to be hard. Thursday, it's going to be tapered down. Friday, for sure, is absolutely nothing. Saturday is showtime. Some other coaches have it a little bit different. They are going to go very hard Wednesday, Thursday, and who knows? It might be a bit of a different secret. Again, those coaches that I asked that for are pretty much really well depth, you know, so they're not not equivalent in terms of the depth chart. Uh, but those are some of the things. The theory that I have on that is that I have 14 players on roster, and I will only sit 12. And so I have to make a decision. So I'd like to make that decision early. I like to see which 12 are going to compete, you know, aside from being hurt and everything else, which 12. And that's how I kind of make my decisions at that point. And then it happens for everyone. At some point, someone's injured and can't play. At some point, someone is taken off the roster. Their feelings get hurt. That's just the way it goes. You know, that's just the ball game. Uh, that's why you fight to earn your spot.
And are there, mid-season changes that occur? Players will be released and you'll sign another player.
Oh yeah. That can happen this year for sure. Now, you know, when I first arrived, that was happening quite frequently. Players were being added and dropped. That can happen again now this year. It's not restricted with the COVID scenario like season prior, and so that's another thing. You know, it definitely gets discussed. There will be a meeting that happens, you know, eventually with the president or general manager of every team. They will they will evaluate where they're at, either dislike or non-performance based, and or their respective bodies just aren't good enough to hold up and hang on. Because some athletes have played here before and have been hurt and just get paid the whole entire year, and they didn't perform. So I know no one wants that. That that's just not going to happen. So that's you'll start to see. Maybe not yet. I think maybe, but certainly by the end of October, there'll be some discussions that'll be had.
Okay. Now, that's week one done with. You went 1-1. Who do you have for week two?
So now week two we play Gifu Swoops. it's a team last year that I felt we were competing with the most. You know, we mirrored each other similarly. And second half of the season, I mean, we were down to one import, and we lost at home to them. And I had factored in, hey man, that we could have won that game, and I factored that in part of my total, thinking that I could get there and beat them, and that would jump us up in the rankings, but we just couldn't pull it off. So this year, it's a good thing we get them here, and because we're very fortunate that 6 out of these 8 games this month are here, and we need to take full advantage of that. You know, it's this weekend. I really would like to push for a sweep. It would maybe we can do it. You know, I don't know yet. You know, I don't know what our mental makeup is totally going to be every day. But I think, you know, that's the part I'm planting. It's not. I'm cautious, Anthony, because I know a lot of reporters are putting a carrot in front of me, trying to help me say win the championship, and it's irresponsible for me to say something like that. You know, heck, even the Lakers were dead last. You know, not one of those top teams before. You know, and it's unfortunate. You know, like a second year franchise is getting asked this because that's what they want to hear. You know, when we're fighting for a championship. You know, I just know, like, I want to finish in a position higher than we did last year, and that we can qualify for that playoff spot. That's massive improvement, and that anything after that would be golden. Do I think we can compete for a championship? I have no idea yet. I haven't seen everybody yet. You know, nor our own personality hasn't come together yet either. We don't have an identity just yet. We're not sure who we are yet. We're playing hard, but no identity is totally formed just yet.
Yeah, I guess it's all about going on that run and having that consistency, run
You
over
know,
a period of time.
today I saw the first two, first two games and all the evaluation of the whole week of all the teams, and we're in the top six of every category, just about. You stay in those categories, you're going to be a playoff team. But it's only 2 games in. Fall out of those categories because these other teams wake up, they become harmonious with each other, they gain rhythm. Okay, it's different now. It's a different story. We're not in that yet. You know, we're not in that battle yet, man. Come November, December, January, that grind is rough. You know, now it's flying back and forth. It's cold weather. It's dark. You know, it's meticulous stuff now. It's gonna be. That's where the teams really separate themselves, because now every team has good players. There's not one that has bad. So, how do you want to play today?
Yeah, yeah, and as you said, with the season being the length that it is, it's being able to find the right rhythm at the right time, and you reading the players as well. Do they need an extra day off and things like that?
Yeah, you know, that's still part of the Japanese way of life. Is there is no day off. It's only one. You know, so I have to tailor what I think. Yeah, players would love to have days off, and mentally, it's a thoroughbred. Thoroughbred doesn't take days off like that. They don't. They have to remain high octane and have a pace and have a training, or they come back lethargic. And that's why, like, on all those race reports, you see thoroughbreds. When's the last time they trained? They don't ever put that down, that unless did not do it that 2 days before or whatever. That's different. Now it's like a red flag. the athlete thinks they need all that time and rest, but in reality, they become rusty. They become, they're just sleeping and no movement. And then it's not like I'm breaking them. I'm not in there 6 hours. That's not my routine. Could be some other coaches' routines, but they do have an obligation to themselves to be the best that they want to be. And that's the message. The best that you said you wanted to be. You need to aspire to that level then. That just doesn't fall out of the sky. So get up, work at it. There's no athlete that I know of in any endeavor that gets up and goes, yeah, absolutely, love running marathon today. They all think about the day off, but it's the discipline and the drive that gets them going. And then once they're in, they're in. Same with basketball, we're in, we go, routine, sharp. Okay. Inevitably, they stay because now they've got the adrenaline and now they've got the repetition. But more importantly, they're really telling themselves, if you're a performer and you aren't performing, where's it going to come from? Do it here. Or in your mind. And I'm not sure they've done the visualization process all that well just yet.
Yeah, and that this stage of athletic ability only lasts for so long, so
Small window.
go get it.
Small window. And then you got the guys that hold on too long and are denying themselves, but they're trying. They're trying. But that's the other catch of this league. You've got these big bodies. You got to see if you can sustain it and perform. Just see if you can hold on and see if you can do this. Because that's what I say. What's your internal drive? You had to have a chip on your shoulder to even play for me. I'm just telling you, there are no excuses. So let's just go. Because all of a sudden on Saturday you'll say, hey, don't take me out. I want to play 40 minutes. Yeah, it don't work that way.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to being able to hear how each game goes, and just going through the season. And as always, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I always enjoy our conversations, and I'm glad to be able to have this conversation and share it with others.
Yeah, there's video and things I can send you, because each week I break it down and it's broken into segments so that not only our own players can see it, I also send it to them privately so they can see themselves, their opponent they're going to match up with. Everything is broken down. That was a lot of my responsibility at Oregon State, was doing that all the time as well. So I'm grateful that I got that chance at the college level to do that. But this is exponentially more. This is every player of every team that I'm responsible for. And so I feel a sense of duty to them. But at the same time, the player has to look at it and digest it themselves. I don't know what else I can possibly do. That's your opponent. That's what you're going to see. You can't tell me you don't know who that guy is. It's done. I gave it to you. Just click it over and over again. That's the whole game for them. You'll see it over and over again. I don't know if they see how hard that is to do. That coding is you can drive yourself crazy thinking about, did I code this right? Who did? Oh my God, I don't even know what I did. Yeah, but when it comes out cool, it looks great. It's like a highlight film, you know. It's just pretty neat. A lot of work in that thing.
A lot of work, and I look forward to seeing some of that film. Then I know that will definitely add to our conversation and questions that I can ask about the players as well.
Yeah, you get to see it. You know, you get to see the size of the bodies, the quickness, the the lack of calls. You know, in Japan and referees. You know, you got to really earn a foul here. Well, just like the rest of the world, this is not the NBA. The NBA, the guy goes by and they put a hand on him. I mean, that whistle is blowing. You know, it's just the way it is because it is a small fraction of a push that occurred, but in this league and like all around the world, EuroLeague, everywhere else, I mean, it's you've got to be absolutely bumped off of a line, but you have to be strong enough to finish. And if you can't, that's another learning curve for you because the absolute great veterans in this league are spectacular at that stuff. No, they'll go through your arms. They're walls. They're grown men, you know. So they're big. So that's again, that's something that we worked on in the off season. To those players that I had returning, they changed what their bodies look like. Now it's sustaining it. And again, that's that whole thing about an athlete. You know, are you in the building? Are you weightlifting? Are you doing all these things that are going to help your body sustain the effort it needs? On top of watching what you're eating, because there's some that need to eat more, there's some that need to eat less. Nevertheless, this is our scenario every day, you know. If I had that coach that did the nutrition, that's different. But I don't have him.
It's all on you. It's all on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not doing that part, so don't worry about it.
Definitely, Coach. Great catching up with you as always, and
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to us speaking next week.
yeah, me too. But I'm looking forward to having players on with you as well. I think this gives them that window of opportunity to handle things, talk, including my Japanese players. You can do a three-way with the translator, so you'll understand exactly how the translating goes back and forth, and they'll post it all over the place too. So it'll be wonderful for them.
Excellent, most definitely. All right, Coach. Thank you,
Okay, bud.
and you take care.
All right, brother. Talk to you later, man. Until next week. Bye.